Okay, so I kind of want to start off with some of the things that came to me early on in my meditative experience, starting about 26 months ago to be exact. Exactly. Um, so about like I said, 26 months ago, during the meditation, uh, I started with the way that I normally and usually would start, which is thanking the archangels for protecting me, and I go right down the list. Um, and what came to me as I got through later on in the meditation were these specific syllables and sounds that at first um, I was I didn't even think about it. I just kind of let them flow through me. Afterwards, obviously, I went back and I kind of reflected on it and contemplated on what they could mean and what they sounded like. But so what came through to me were these four distinct sounds. Okay. And the first sound that came to me, and it went in order in this progression, I'm going to is ah, very simple ah. The second sound was ra, ra, almost like how you would pronounce it. All right, almost how you would pronounce the R in one of the Romance languages, not ra, it's ra. Um, the fourth one, which I had trouble with at first, um, I at first thought it was like but after reciting these sounds several times, it came to me that it wasn't it was but it was from a deep point in your diaphragm, not like from your throat. It was um, and the fourth sound that came to me was a very simple and unorthodox for the previous three was just a T. T. All was T. So altogether was a ra T. A ra T. And and that's what just came to me. It said a ra T. And so at first I had no frame of reference whatsoever as to what these sounds were. And the only thing that to me they sounded like, and I let them flow in their meditation. And when the meditation was over, I remember I grabbed my notebook and I started to jot down how the sounds or what the sounds themselves, um, I don't know, it's hard to describe what, because they're not words and it's not just a simple A, because that's right? So how could I write sounds that I've never seen or heard before down and spell them? How do I spell out a sound, really? Because it's not a consonant and it's not a vowel. It's more than that. So I wrote here specifically, and I'll show you guys. I mean, it's kind of all over the place, but um, I was trying to write out like here's some of it: A, space R A to decipher between them. And then I said, it came to me that it's not about how it really doesn't matter how it's spelled. It matters how I know it sounds, how it came to me, right? Then the next thing I started to wonder and think about was what are these sounds? And the only thing that came to me was something similar that I've heard either in Sanskrit or Egyptian. Um, and there's a language which is from what I understand, like a pre-Akkadian universal language that some of the channelers talk about. Um, I know Elena Denane talks about it. And so in one of her books, she had almost like either Egyptian definitions and glossary and sounds. And one of the sounds that I hear in a lot of the books I read was Ra, obviously, right? So Ra is what we would say in the Germanic tribal languages as Ra, right? With a different pronunciation of the R. And so it started to like really pique obviously my curiosity, my interest as to what these sounds could mean. So I started to pray on it, obviously. And what came to me was that the sounds of the sound I'm going to put together, and I use it now almost every time I meditate, in the meditation. When it comes to me, it's ti. And what came to me right afterwards was, I am the physicalized expression of divinity. So the sound itself means I'm the physicalized expression of divinity. But then I started asking, well, go deeper as to what exactly does that mean? Now, obviously, I'm sure you guys would agree that we're expressions of the one, right? We're aspects of the one, and that's what it means. But more than that, what does it mean? Why the sounds? And so what came to me was this, and I know Josh and I spoke briefly about this over the phone. The sounds themselves, dissimilar in the frame of reference I'm going to use um, in this particular explanation is from the law of one. Talks about the logos, right? The logos, the sub logos, the sub logos. I guess this is the best way I can. This is the best way I can try and describe um, what those sounds are and what they mean. The sound itself is the vibratory resonance, like the Om resonance, that comes down and vibrates into the reality, making what we are. Okay, so right now we know each other as Josh or Suen or Lauren or Joe, but essentially what we are is vibration, right? We're the sound vibrating into physicality. The first sound that comes out is ah. It's coming from. It's the easiest sound. It's the primordial sound. Right? It's before the sound. It's coming from a higher place, a higher vibration. In other words, the ah encompasses all the vibration. The ra is the next sound. It's the next level down. It's coming, stepping down the vibratory levels to bring us into physicality. So that particular sound is our physical, our physical rep, how do I describe it? That sound is the what you would refer to us as in a vibratory way. So the way, because what we are is vibration, the sound makes the vibration, which vibrates us into physicality. So the reason, so the what came to me was that we were the T part, right? The we're all of it. But the last part, the T, is the physicalized expression of that sound, expressing itself in reality. That's what the T sound is. So I hope that kind of makes sense. And like I said, it's very difficult to put things into words that we don't really have used frequently to describe. So that's what came to me. I had no frame of reference to that whatsoever. The only thing that I had heard was, that light language, which was similar to that, I guess. But this was just a sound that came out, and the sounds to me, um, the sounds to me, I still use in meditation. And I don't know if maybe one day when we do the group meditation, I'll give you an example, maybe of how it comes out through me, and maybe it will resonate with some of you guys. But I'd like to hear your guys' opinion on that. Or maybe we could elaborate on what exactly, or if there are any questions on what the sound itself is. But the sound essentially is us. It's us vibrating into reality without the ego, essentially, because what we are as Josh and Joe is the ego aspect of those sounds. So it's really just the sound.
Yeah, man.
Josh, go ahead.
Yeah. No, thank you so much for sharing. That's awesome. I remember when you called me back then, and right away, I knew what you were talking about. And
Yeah.
in the raw contact, but specifically in the Quo channeling, they give a name to that language, like the Sanskrit and Hebrew vowel sounds is from this universal like light language called Solex Mal, which is just kind of like math. It just is, it's like the
Yeah.
music of the spheres or whatever. It's just built into the universe. And that's how Sanskrit and Hebrew vowel sounds kind of came about. And then what you were just saying makes me think like everything is vibration, right? We know, everything is vibrating, is alive, is moving, is animated from this love light energy that in space, in time space, has this electromagnetic kind of, well, in space time it's electromagnetic, in time space it's this love vibration. So So it's that vibration sound that manifests us, like you say, in our physical form, in the
Mm-hmm.
space-time form, in the time-space form. It's our vibration, more or less.
Yep.
And you
Mm-hmm.
maybe like tapped into some form of that. I don't know if it's like your personal vibration or some other consciousness like communicating through you via those vowel sounds. And then
So
it reminds me of cymatics. So cymatics is this, where there's different forms, but you could imagine sand on a plate. And when they play different frequencies in the plate, the sand organizes itself in this geometric structure to the frequency that they play. And they're playing a frequency or a vibration or a sound, and that gives shape, that gives form to
mm-hmm.
the raw, random matter, the random sprinkling of sand. All of a sudden comes this pattern. Like, one obvious thing is it looks like a turtle shell. Depending on the frequency, the pattern that forms looks just like the pattern on a shell of a turtle. But
Yep.
further, the craziest form of cymatics I've seen, and I mentioned this in the groups a few times when it comes up, is more closely to related to that concept I mentioned and you mentioned of like creating life, right? Like fully creating yourself and animating yourself.
Mm-hmm.
There's some crazy cymatics where I didn't hear the audio. It was someone over dubbing it, over talking over it, but it was a video of clearly it was just sand. But when this specific vibration or sound was coming through it, not only did it just make a shape and stay there, it looked like it was alive. It was moving. It looked like little snowmen or little
Yeah.
ants. The
Yeah.
sand like created moving little like life-like the
Yeah.
thing that like
Yeah.
morphed and like kind of
Yeah.
like water droplets, like one swallowed another one and got bigger,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
and
Yep.
they're like dancing. So that to me, that's showing like with the vibration and sound and cymatics, it's not only just like a 2D picture, but it can be like animated with energy, with like life.
And, and just to touch on what you said you weren't sure if the sounds or the syllables or the vowels were my personal. And what just came to me and what really resonates with me is there is only one, and especially of us, that is our. And by our, I mean that is humanity's sound. That is humanity's sound from Earth. That is Earth, which and we are an aspect of her, right? We're an aspect of her. We're the human aspect of Earth. So that is our sound at this particular quadrant of this particular solar system in this particular on the planet itself. That is our sound. That is Araumti is our sound. That is what defines us because we are one. And within the one, we are one within the one, aren't we? And that's how it works. And the way that it's been described to me is like a pyramid. So the A part is like the top of the pyramid, almost like above the pyramid, shining down through. And the as you get further down, it's like they're all aspects. They're growing like kind of like a exponentially, right? From the one into these different aspects, but within that pyramid are blocks of one. Then this is one. Then this is one. Then this is one, and it's getting smaller and smaller. But those little aspects all make up their own little one within the one, and that essentially the Ara Om is our specific sound or vibration, which vibrates us, and by us I mean Earth and humans into the physicality. And so, yeah, go ahead, Josh.
No, I was just gonna say, yeah, man, I agree. That's what I was thinking as well. And reminds me of this scene from this movie. I think it was like the Imaginarium of Dr. Parnassus or something, where they supposedly go to this like Tibetan mountain temple thing where there's these like monks that are constantly for thousands and thousands of years just om chanting, and they say that
Yeah.
they are sustaining reality, like by their
Yes. Wow.
chanting. That's what holds reality together. And if the vibration, if the chanting, if the sound stops, everything just turns to dust, or like everything just you know doesn't exist anymore. This is the
Yeah,
interesting,
it
interesting
is. It is.
idea.
It is. It is. And so,
They measured, you could say that the sun, which holds us together, right? The sun,
correct. Yeah,
gravity and the light giving us light and heat and everything. There's some vibration, there's some frequency that the sun.
absolutely. And the sun, just to draw a correlation, uh, in the syllable, the second sound is Ra, right? And Ra in Egyptian terms was the sun god. And so, um, possibly, and I haven't really thought about this, maybe the Ra part is the sun, because the part we know is the vibratory resonance that carries everything. It carries the vibration itself. I know that. And, like I said, it's still a lot of it's still a mystery to me. I could just kind of, um, uh, I could just kind of be a messenger for the things that the revelations or the concepts that have been that God has granted me, worthy enough to bring forth through me. And so the next thing, if we want to go into the next thing that I know I kind of touched on, which was a symbol that came to me, which is similar to an OK symbol, but it's like this. Okay, this is a symbol. It looks like that. So it's the two middle fingers together and the pinky spread apart with a circle, like an OK, like that. It's literally like this. If you put your two fingers together, the two ones are together and the one is apart. And so I'm going to put the phone out to this because it's not just a symbol. It's more than a symbol because it's the left hand over the heart specifically, right? Yep. It's the left hand over the heart and the right hand up like this. So it's like that, which is unusual because in our reality, everything's the opposite. It's the right hand over the heart. This is the left hand over the heart. And so it's these things spread apart. And this comes to me when I am thanking all benevolent beings for assisting with the liberation of and raising the vibration of planet Earth, and thanking all the angels and archangels for the same cause, and everyone that's essentially assisting here and outside of here, for the uh, assisting us in our ascension, essentially, right? The elevation of the frequencies of Earth. And what comes to me is this. Oh, and I'm thinking the all federations and super federations and galactic federations and that are assisting us. And what comes to me is this. It's this symbol followed by this. And hold on, this one I gotta take a breath for. So it's what looks like many is really one. And this is what this symbol means. What looks like many is really one, and there is only one. That's what the symbol means. What looks like many is really one, and there is only one. And this is the symbol like that means that. And this is a greeting, and with the greeting, and it's a kind of a way like almost like it's a salutation. So what comes with it is a bow. And what I always see in my head is other beings, and they're always the feeling I always get is these words. It's a bow and it's salutation, admiration, honor, duty, respect. That's what it is. So it's this, and then it's a bow and it's salutation, admiration, honor, duty, respect. And I think that's a way of, it's a mutual understanding that we're sharing, with the same goal and intention in mind, which is the intention I stated to begin with, which is the liberation and the ascension of planet Earth. So that's another thing I wanted to share with you guys. I don't know if you guys have any, but it took me a while to figure this one out. This is first I got the symbol. It was a symbol like this, and then I kept asking, well, why is that symbol? What does the symbol mean? And it showed me that what looks like one, or what looks like many, and it was the middle part, is really one. You see, it's like what looks like many is really one. And then the circle is like the circle. Like obviously a circle, it's all connected and it's infinity, it's continuously going. And that's what came to me. That's why they use the symbol with the two. It looks like many, but it's really one, and everything's all connected and always flowing.
I love that. That's really cool.
That reminds, yeah, that's awesome, man. And I'm gonna put that video clip on top of your sound for the video.
Yeah.
It reminds me that you had a symbol a while ago. You during
Yeah.
your one of
Yeah.
your crazy meditations where you're in this arena with all
Yeah.
the entities
Yeah. I
around
remember.
you. And I
I
remember
remember it.
saying something with like this symbol or
Yeah.
something.
It was the beginning part of that. I didn't have the exact hand right yet, but it was because I can only see like this, you know? But I couldn't really, the more it's like anything else, the more I did it, the more clear it came to me as to, and then once I knew why, what was it, once it was showed to me as to why it's this exact symbol, I never forgot it because it makes sense. What looks like many is really one, and everything's always connected and always flowing, you know? And
That's amazing, dude. That's awesome. I love that. So cool.
it's in the hand over the heart. The hand over the heart, obviously, it's a big part of it too, because that's how it starts, and it's always a bow, and it's almost like more of a, honestly, for in our frame of reference, a curtsy is what it looks like to me. It's not like a bow, like a guy takes a bow. It's like a brand. It's a you know it's similar, more similar to what we would see as a curtsy, but that's the whole thing. It's a you know
Now, why the right? I mean, why the left on the heart instead of the right on the heart? Did you figure that out?
I think it's because they come from, as most beings from what I understand, the universe come from a different. They're using a different part of the feminine aspect, right? So because we use a masculine aspect of things down in our, in Earth, in our reality, we're very right-handed dominant or left brain dominant, and it has a direct correlation, right? Because we're left brain dominant, so we're right hand dominant, so we're more analytical, we're more logical in this reality than others in other parts of the universe, which are the opposite. They're right brain dominant, right? Or they're more feminine in that way, where they're more creative and more in touch with the creator, more in touch with their that aspect of things, the artistic, creative, outside the box aspect of things. And I think that's what came to me, is that must be how the majority of those beings are, and that's why they use the left as their dominant.
You know, yeah, that makes perfect sense. Also, a thought is since you're then doing the hand symbol with the right hand, it's
Yeah.
like right hand path.
Yes, that's true too. That's true too. Yep. I know that some of the, and even will even, they use it like this to even communicate, as it's more than just telepathic and feeling. There's hand symbols that are associated too, that I have no idea how to interpret, other than just the knowing of. I don't want to say I have no idea. I guess I have an idea, but, and I guess maybe it's unconsciously it's affecting it, it's doing something to me, right? It's communicating something, but on a conscious level, I'm not aware fully um of what it means. So that was another thing that I wanted to share. And like I said, there's so much, because this is over the course of 26 months of and more a little bit, because I've, even prior to me going in, it's like nothing just happens like that. It's always like a progression. Something will come to me, then it won't even happen. Nothing will happen for a week or two or a month. Then all of a sudden that same thing that idea will evolve and grow a little bit, and something will happen to me in, let's say, day-to-day activities, and then the next meditation will tie together what happened to me in my day-to-day activity and what came to me in the meditation like a month prior, and then it'll grow on whatever that concept was. That's really what happens. um so another thing that came to me was, so okay, when I begin, and there's a truck backing off, so if you can't hear me, let me know. Oh, and stop. So when I after I do the protection aspect or the protection part of my meditation, the next part is, and for those people that have read the initiation book, this part kind of tied into a little bit of what I read in the book, which is when I breathe in. Okay, and this is similar to what we were just talking about, Josh, that there's an aspect of us, and let me just back up a little bit. There's an aspect of us that's not incarnate at this time, physical at this time. So it stays back in the higher dimensions, right? In order to be connected, connected to source. And obviously there have been times where we have intuitions or knowings and what have you, and most of the time that's our that higher, what I refer to as our higher self, kind of communicating with us through this knowing. And so when I notice that mostly throughout the day, I'm physical. I'm in my physical, we'll call it physical consciousness. I am physically conscious of what I'm feeling. I'm physically conscious of what I have to do. I'm physically conscious of if I'm thirsty and I have to drink something. And what I did was, and what came to me was in the meditation, right after I'm doing the aspect of the part of the meditation where it's being thankful. It's I'm breathing in and I'm making a conscious decision to bring forth or to connect with spirit consciousness. Because sometimes it'll come to me. I'll ask myself, what consciousness am I in? Because I'm in body consciousness. And what am I thinking about? Well, I'm thinking about I'm hungry. I'm thinking about how my elbow hurts. I'm thinking about, okay, wow, my bed, I have to really make my bed because I'm sitting on my bed and it's crooked right now. That's all body consciousness. And what I thought was, what came to me was to shift that into spirit consciousness or divine consciousness for those that have read the Christ letters. And so I thought how to do that, or I asked how to do that, really. And it came to me to breathe in, and this is, like I said, ties into what it talks about in the initiation book. As I'm breathing in, imagine like I'm breathing in spirit. And when I'm breathing in spirit, the spirit is, I'm joining with that spirit up above. For me, that's just how I do it, up above. And as I'm breathing out, I'm returning back into the physical body consciousness. And as I breathe in, I'm connecting more with the spirit consciousness. And I breathe out, come back into the physical. And I noticed that what it does is, this is how I interpret it. I'm setting a meeting point in the middle because I can't be there, right? And it can't come fully through me because I am physical. So that part of me can't come fully through me. So what we have to do is set up, what came to me was to set up a middle point where I'm meeting the physical, the aspect of myself with the spirit aspect of myself, and somewhere in the middle. And when this happens, the only thing I can describe to you is a lightness. A lightness. Those ailments I was just talking about, where it's my elbow or the bed being crooked, fall away. Those things are no longer even in my consciousness whatsoever. And so that's just another interesting point that I wanted to share with you guys. Because I don't know if you guys can relate to that, or if it's something that you draw any parallel or any reference to or from. But yeah. And so right after that, can I go on, Josh? Do you have something to say about that?
I would just share when you were saying that reminded me of two things. One is like, yeah, I've read many things that, talk about like kind of like pranayama or breath work where you're envisioning breathing in the love and the light, healing energy, and breathing out any negativity, clearing, cleansing your body, breathing out the negativity. And then, but also when you were saying about meeting in the middle, how that's like the divine or whatever, and you're like the incarnate kind of 3D level or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
We had this, you were telling like a long time ago, there was this thing where there was this worldwide meditation, some cosmic event with Australia. There were people like in Australia doing it. And I got this vision during that. And I remember I drew it on a little post-it. I still have it, where it's like you have the energy of the earth and the core of the earth, and your root chakra connecting to the earth energy, and and then you have the center of the galaxy, the logos, and
Mhm.
like the black hole at the center of the galaxy energy. And like you say, like the Ghostbusters stream of light,
Yeah.
whatever.
Yes.
And then
Yeah.
you're in the middle when you're meditating. You're in this middle ground, and your aura is like a bead on a tight string that's
Yes.
taut between the galaxy and the earth. And you're just, that energy is flowing through you from the logos to the mother earth, passing through your energy field, aligning you. So it just reminded me of that from a while back.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember that too. I remember. And right as soon as that happens, so I'll say this. I say, again, this goes in progression. So as I breathe in the light, and this is similar to what you were just saying, Josh. So I imagine the light coming in through my nose, and as I breathe in the light, I'm embodied with the light. And I say, I am embodied with the light, and I see my whole body being embodied with light. And I say, I am radiant with light. And I say, as I am radiant with light, I surrender all negative egoic drives. And then I'll list the things and I know I've done stuff like this in the past, and I'll list the things that I surrender. For example, separation, anxiety, stress, fear, whatever, and I'll breathe it out, and I say I replace them with whatever the opposite side of those coins are. So if separation, I'm replacing that with unity. If it's sickness, then I replace that with health, and then I harmony and all these other things. And I get to the end, and I say, so I've released all negative drives and replaced them with whatever it is, the positive things that I'm saying. And then I'll say, I am light. I said, let the light illuminate everything and everyone within it. And I imagine the light coming out from me, and just encompassing the whole world. Um, and then I say, let the light illuminate the world, let the light heal the world, let the light provide liberation for the world, and then the same thing for the universe. And I just imagine this light growing, growing, growing. The next thing that happens in the meditation, and it is something that just happened too today, is that Joe and Josh, we talked on this too briefly, is um, I'll say sometimes, most times, um, I will not have eaten for many, many hours prior to the meditation. For today, it was only like 13 hours, but sometimes it's longer than that. And so sometimes a little bit of hunger will set in, and that used to control me, right? And then I knew something was still able to control me, and that kind of got to me a little bit. And I said, really, if everything we need is provided for us, right? And we're all aspects of God, then there's got to be a way for me to really there's got to be a way for me to stay in this frame of mind, and without feeling these pains right in my stomach. And so I would say I breathe in, imagine these like lifetrons, right? Like Yogananda calls them lifetrons, coming in through my nose, and then I would say, I'm sustained by the light from God. And after 2 or 3 of those breaths, my hunger pains go away. Like, I'm sustained from the light from God. And I'll say I am let me see, I am energized from the light from God. And when I say I'm energized from the light from God, I see the light coming up through my left hand and left toes, up through my body, up through and out the other side of my right side. I see it flowing through me. And then that point is when if there's anything ailing me, I'll always say I'm healed from the light from God, and I'll see the light going up through, literally almost like an X-ray. Like I could see through my body, like I could see my tibia, my fibia, my knee, and something. If I know it's like my LCL or my MCL, something that specific, I could see landed like the ligaments, not clearly, but I have an idea, and and I'll Watch it go up my leg, same thing with my arm, my elbow, and then up through my mind, and a little bit out through my head, and then down through the other side. Exhale as it's going out the other side, and watching it leave my body, all whatever was injuring or ailments or anything I had. That's another interesting part of the meditation I wanted to share with you guys. I know we did similar stuff to that in the past, but it kind of like it kind of grew a little bit. It evolved. It kind of morphed. So there's a couple things that came to me. There's a bunch of things that came to me about time. Actually, some of these things came to me. Some of these things came to me when I was just waking up from sleeping, and some came to me as soon as I was done with the meditation. I'll write them in this book. So I have an interesting couple parts about time, space, about love, frequency, about the transition to fourth density, and this stuff is stuff that's came through me. So I mean, really quickly, I'll let you decide, Josh. Where do you want to start? I mean, we got love, frequency, time, space, transition to fourth density.
I mean, I'm down to start in the beginning. I don't know.
Yeah, I really just used to. I'll be honest with you. I used to just grab the book and whatever page it opened to. So if you saw this book, it's like all over. Sometimes it's halfway upside down. It's like in the back. It's in the front. You know, it's all over the place. But
yeah, whatever you feel. If you're drawn to a spot.
yeah. So these two, I keep opening to these couple pages. So transition to fourth density and densities. So I have here that densities are formed from photonic light energy derived from love vibration. The degree of love increases the rate of vibration of the photon, expressing itself as light love within, which in turn creates the density of illusion. Densities are based on varying levels of love light energy within the illusion. Well, that's what came to me about what densities, or because I would contemplate on what is densities exactly, you know? I think that's part of it. Is I'm very inquisitive, even with myself. Like, so if I read something and I get it, but I don't really get it. Like I understand it a little bit, but I want to really grasp it. That's one thing I've noticed about myself, is that I really kind of got to get a hold on something to really understand it. So, you know, after asking myself, this is, I guess, like I said, some of this stuff happens when I'm not even in meditation. I could just be waking up, and that's what I wrote down. Next thing is the transition to fourth density. The density is the rate of vibration of an object, a person, or a field. As the vibration increases, so that's the definition of density. So in the way that it's written here, density, and then with the hyphen, the rate of vibration or frequency of an object, person, or field. As the vibration increases, there is a shift in perception. The shift in perception allows one to perceive life in a new, profound way. This perception is that of oneness with the all. Humans will evolve to express a greater spiritual mass with a greater ability to absorb more love and express more light. Our bodies will do this by evolving into crystalline from carbon in order to contain much more light, in this case, information. As we become crystalline, we will have a greater spiritual density, able to absorb, house, express, and refract more light from our central sun, which we were just talking about, Josh, from our central sun in the form of photonic light information. How we choose to express ourselves will change dramatically. How we interact with our reality will change dramatically. Interaction with self and other self will change. There will be a knowing feeling of interconnectedness. This change will allow you to affect the field, your own shared reality, by thought, which is charged emotion. For there are less and less illusions with more and more light. So that's what came to me about density. What, any thoughts about that, Josh, or Lauren or Suen?
It makes sense.
Yeah.
A great way of putting it into words. It's very complex, right?
It is complex. Yes, it is complex. Yeah, it is. It is complex.
Yeah, I mean, I really like the way it came to you, the way you explain it there. I feel it's not, that it's in alignment with Ra's teaching. I know they talk about it as uh kind of like density of light, how much light is contained within the body and so on, and raising the frequency of your frequency. I could see meaning the same thing as far as perhaps parts of you that maybe aren't vibrating or aren't vibrating in the light spectrum. By raising their frequency, more of your atoms are activated or raised up to the point of light instead of just darkness or just inert matter. But yeah, it's beautiful. And we know with the densities, the whole thing, we were just talking with Jonathan's group. I think I missed it, but he was talking about seniority of vibration and how each entity has this seniority of vibration, that's observed by their seventh violet ray chakra,
Mhm.
like their overall status almost, and like how much light they have, at what frequency their light is, and so on. Because the closer you get to unity and the one infinite creator, the more dense the light is, the more pure, undistorted, right?
And it's funny you talk about that, Josh, because what came to me was all of us have different aspects of ourselves in or on, however you want to describe it, those densities. Right now, Josh is just one aspect of the greater part of you, which is in actually incarnate in physicality on a lot of those other densities. So I found that to be just amazing. That it's not just me, even though I'm only conscious right now, physically conscious of just me. But there's so many other aspects of me, and by me I mean my essence, in these other densities or dimensions experiencing that reality simultaneously, and we're all feeding back our experiences to the higher aspects of us, which are not incarnate but are in the higher realms, or in the realms that's outside of physicality.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly how they describe the higher self, is you in the sixth density, you know, going back, helping yourself out in third density from sixth density, kind of going back in time, so to speak. And, yeah, since all is one, time is part of our illusion, right? Because
It
we're
is.
in space time. We can move
Yeah.
around in space, but not in time. Time seems to progress linearly. But we
Yeah.
know outside of the illusion, outside of this incarnation, it's majority of creation is in time space, where they can
Yeah.
move time, like you scroll forward and back on a video. So all time is simultaneous. So yeah, you do exist in those other densities and so on, other higher levels of vibration at the same time. Bashar talks about that a lot as well. And I remember you talking about that a lot during, I think it was during your regression or your
Yeah.
your quantum
Yeah.
hypnosis thing. You talked about how time, all you are simultaneously the being in that planet, and the being
Yes.
on that planet while
Yes.
you're Joey.
Yes. Exactly. And Joey is really just the ego aspect of me, right? It's the
You're like
ego aspect.
you're like one avatar, like in Hinduism with
Yeah.
Vishnu is, and then all the different avatars of Vishnu, which, Rama and Krishna and all of them and Shiva. I don't know. I don't want to make a misspeak, but it's a mask you put on or a costume, you know. You have lots of different costumes that or puppets or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, moving on to time, which is interesting. I have a bunch of stuff about time in here, like you said, Josh, because obviously it's something that I think piques a lot of people as well as myself, curiosity and interest. So it says time exists relative to space. One's perception of time shapes their reality. The way time is perceived shapes how they experience their reality and determines the dimensional space. Dimensions are determined by how time is perceived in relation to space. Thoughts or perception shape thoughts shape our perceptions. Thoughts have a direct effect on our reality. The reality we experience can be attuned by our thoughts. We can shift dimensional space by our thoughts shifting from linear time to 3D circular time to spiral time, 5-dimensional time. Each dimension is a new universe. We are multidimensional. So that touches on what you just said, Josh, touches on what you just said about time and time space and space time to a degree. And like I said, even reading some of this stuff, because like when I'm writing, I'm just writing. So like it's all over the page and it's sloppy and everything. But even reading it puts me back in that space to a degree. But if you ask me to write this right now, you know what I mean? I wouldn't be able to come on, and there's no way, like
Yeah, it's like with channeling and higher density, it's telepathic concept communication. While you were in your meditative state and you were coming out of it, you had that ball of concepts, right? That zip file on
yeah,
your
I
computer,
call it the magic wand.
the magic wand.
Yeah, that's my name for it. I'm like, oh, I got the wand out. That means like it's still connected. It's coming through. Like I'm tuned in.
Right, right. So you at the time where it was loaded in your memory, like
Yep.
you had the zip file, you unzipped it, it's in your RAM in your computer temporarily.
Yep.
You're able to save it a little bit on that notebook. You're able to
Yeah.
transcribe it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then time went by and like it got purged out of your memory. But by reading that little like shortcut, you opened up the program again. Like you jumped
Yeah.
into you pulled it up from the hard drive and brought it back into the RAM or whatever. Sorry for all the computer metaphors.
You're a computer guy.
Yeah, yeah.
It's all right. Good. A lot of people relate to that, especially nowadays. The next thing I have written is love frequency. So love gives off a vibration because it is a vibration frequent. It is a vibration. Frequency is how many times the wave completes a cycle in given time. High vibration is equals love because the wave is in a higher vibration and frequency. Something simple, but it's a way to describe what love is as a vibration or as a frequency. Because a lot of people that are not science savvy have trouble, and I've had trouble even describing how love can be a vibration or what exactly people mean by high vibe, or high vibration. So I know I remember when I was thinking about it, I was contemplating that for a while, and that's what came to me was a way to be able to articulate what love is. That when you're loving somebody, you give off the vibration of love. When you're in love, you're giving off the vibration of love. And how to describe frequency is how many times, if we're drawing it right, how many times the wave completes a cycle in a given time. So the next thing I have written here is time space. Time is not fixed. It only exists relative to 2 points in space. It is malleable. And I know I read this last time, but I'll reread it again so we can have it on recording. Time is not fixed. It only exists relative to 2 points in space. It is malleable and can be bent by the will of one. It can be slowed down or sped up to cater to the will of one. One's consciousness has a direct effect on time. It is elastic and can be bent and shaped to the will of one. The next subtopic is shared time. The group consciousness perception of time, which is shared time. The individual is both part of and a contributor and subject to the group's perception of time. However, the individual can shape his experience of time and therefore affect how he experiences time. He does this by affecting the field he is interacting with individually within the greater field of the group consciousness shared field. Consciousness has a direct effect on the field of space-time. I think we read that last time, right, John?
I don't recall, but
Yeah, I don't know if you were on that call. You weren't on that call, actually.
oh yeah. Yeah, I missed one of them, yeah.
Yeah, we did.
That reminds me, like, when you're hanging out with a group of friends and everyone's having a good time, time flies, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
When it happens as a group, it's like you said.
So then I remember thinking about the word universe. This was what I was contemplating, universe, right? And I broke it down like universe, one verse. And what came to me was universe, like a verse in a song, just one verse. For example, we are just one verse, our universe. There are many verses to a song, many unite verses, many verses, many songs to an album, many universes to the multiverse, many different albums of music, omniverse. And so everything goes back to this again, vibration or sound. And for me, I guess that's an easy way for us, for our frame of reference, to understand these higher concepts.
Would you say the universe is Om?
I'd say that Om is the sound. Om is the sound, yeah. I think Om is the sound, or what we refer to as, it's more than that though, right, Josh? I think Om is the sound, but within that sound is carried intelligence. It's carried, so the sound is the part of the creator that carries with it the intelligent infinity, right? So it carries with it coding. It carries with it what they talk about in the Christ letters as Christ consciousness.
And speaking of that, I was just looking up before you said that, but Christ consciousness. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God.
Exactly. And I think the word, what they're referring to there, what I understand is to be Om, right? Om, or what they talk about in some of the Christianity as Amen, Amen, right? And I think those that read any of Yogananda's stuff, he touches on that. And says here, love is the blood or the life force pumping from the heart of God, keeping us alive, giving us all sustenance. It is alive in itself. I found that to be interesting, that love itself is alive. From our perspective, we can't even understand that. But from what I understand is the emotions themselves have an actual life to them because they have an energy to them. And these are just some affirmations I wrote on. I'm fully ready to accept any and all information and light. I filter all light down through the roots of my mind to be integrated in my daily life. I know I read this musical note, but this happens to be one of my favorite ones. So I'm going to read this one. Josh, I think you've heard this one. I am but a musical note amongst an orchestra of many different instruments. My note represents my individual sound expression. And this touches on, by the way, what the Aram T was. So I am but a musical note amongst an orchestra of many different instruments. My note represents an individual sound expression. My note is, for example, an F sharp, being played from a trumpet by God. All of the other notes from this trumpet are also being played by God, but sound distinctly different, other expressions. We are all of the same source. Thus, we are aspects of the one source, just sounding, uh, expressing ourselves differently. All the notes being played from the trumpet are other aspects of my soul in different dimensions, higher and lower. The trumpet is part of the brass section, which are also higher aspects of myself in varying densities. The brass section is part of an orchestra playing their individual notes and sounds, all God expressing himself in varying ways and degrees, coming together to make the symphony of creation of the multiverse. Our job is merely to play our unique note, to fulfill our part, or just to be, express together, to express together. We form the creation, the symphony, making beautiful music, always changing, always evolving into higher expressions of ourselves, which is the creator, the mind of God, the highest version of ourselves, of the highest vision we have of ourselves. God-like, we are in the mind of God.
That's beautiful. You should type that out and post it so that it can spread. It's just so beautiful.
Thank you. Thank
And
you.
I was looking for the quote. I know somewhere in the Confederation or other stuff I've read, they talk about how literally like every being, every, person, tree, rock, bird, whatever, mountain is singing and praising and the, one infinite creator. And they're all radiating and singing their vibration, their song in the cosmic orchestra that is our illusion. And even though it's this cacophony of sound, they, are harmonious in their difference as well, that
Yeah.
it's not a chaotic sound,
No.
complex sound, but they're all, in tune with the one infinite creator.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah, it's being expressed through them, right? The aspect that is the aspect, they are the aspect of the one true infinite creator, and them just being is the expression of that sound.
It's almost like in the church in a big pipe organ, you have the air,
Yes.
the air, and you have all these different pipes, all the different, tones, but it's the one air, it's the one
Yep.
prana,
Exactly. Yep.
creator
Yes. I love that.
its life force through the different tubes, the different, pipes, that we're all a different pipe with our own unique pitch, our own sound.
Yep. I love that. So I have here, we are in the mind of God, traveling through his meditation up through the densities or God's chakras back to oneness. All else is illusion. Real to us is relatively an illusion. Hold on. All else is illusion. I can't even read this right now. And essentially, it's all else is illusion, and then real to us is relativity. That's what it says. Real to us is relativity. An illusion this is absolutely. And I guess some of it is difficult to read because it's not exactly how I speak, consciously in my day-to-day life. You know what I mean? So I kind of have to take a sec. Plus, I was writing it like half sleeping, so it's like all over the place. But
And I just want to say there that the fact that you come out of a dream or a deep meditation and you right away write this stuff down, that's exactly the practice that is recommended by L&L research. As people had asked Jim McCarty during these Q&As, you know, about working with dreams and so on. And that's exactly what he said. He would keep a flashlight at the side of his bed and a paper and pencil, and like he would put a sock over the flashlight so it wasn't too bright to wake him
Yeah,
up, snap him
that's
out
funny.
of the conscious state.
Yeah.
Jot it down, you know. It's
You know
exactly.
what I did was we had a little reading light in there, and that light was like. So I took a piece of masking tape, which is, by the way, is hard to get. It's not like masking tape is like we can get it right now. Masking tape is extremely hard to get. So I took a piece of masking tape and put it over the light so it would shine through the masking tape. It's the same kind of concept. Yeah. So another I have some mantras here that came to me too. Uh I reclaim all tampered and altered parts of my DNA and reclaim them as my own. My DNA will repair to its original form prior to alterations. I claim my DNA as my own. Interesting, interesting stuff. Okay, this one is written sloppy, and I remember when I wrote this one, but it was a good one. And going back, I wish I could have written it better. So this is about our weaknesses, right, as humans. And Josh, and I know, I think Lauren, you were on a call, and Sue went too. We talked about some of the people that are, a lot of the people that are in the spiritual community have some usually type of ailments or type of like catalysts that they incarnate with, whether you know, whether it be some handicapped or something like that, or learning disability or what have you. And this says that, and I agree entirely, that our weaknesses are deliberately handicapped us so that therein they may act as a catalyst for us to overcome and work on that become our strengths. To one day, they will become our strengths. You will be the greatest teacher of yourself. So I think it definitely talks about that in one of the Law of One books, or maybe in quote. Right, Josh? I mean, you would know better than me.
They definitely talk about that, and Carla and Linda Hoagland had mentioned often that as wanderers, when you come, well, there's two parts. As wanderers consciously choose pre-incarnationally that they're coming down to into the third density to help and everything, that they feel that they're coming from sixth density, fifth density, that, you know, third density is going to be like a joke or whatever. And
Yeah,
and they're like, give me, you know, give me all this catalyst, give me, you know, all these mental issues, break my legs, you know, give me all these problems, and I'll still harvest. You know what I mean? They're like, I
I
got
see.
this. And then they get born and they're in the illusion and they're like, oh man, you know. But it's like a pre-incarnative choice that a wanderer makes uh, to aid them to grow, right? To overcome their catalyst and grow in some sense. And then the other part of it that may be related, well, it's related by the fact that wanderers, let's say coming from fifth or sixth density, these higher vibratory environments, you know, where your whole surroundings, your whole existence is a very different vibe, different matter, different energy, different, you know, light and love, and everything is different. Kind of like you're a fish in the ocean, and then you come try and live on the land.
Yeah,
Like you're not gonna have a good time, right? Or
yeah,
like the South Park thing, you're gonna have a bad time. So uh that's another thing, especially with allergies.
yes,
A lot of wanderers have allergies due to, or other physical, you know, illnesses or impairments due to the big difference in their home vibration and this third density earth vibration, whether it's just the physicality, the matter, you know, the environment, and or the vibration of their culture, their country, their society, you know, if it's being very negative and they come from a very positive, it's that clash of energy, kind of like when you put a saltwater fish in fresh water, you know, it dies because it's such a different environment.
Yeah, I think the allergies are the physical expression of their uncomfortability, essentially, right? So there's parts in that are uncomfortable, and that's the expression of it. That's how it manifests itself. It's like, yeah, these things are almost like a visceral reaction of uncomfortability. Ugh. You know what I mean? It's not, we're not in a home state, essentially, right? And even things that are on our unconscious level, we feel that, even if on the conscious level we don't. The manifestation of those things, that feeling on the conscious or on the physical level of the things we're feeling in our unconscious, are things like allergies and ailments and handicaps and things like that. The next thing that I got was I surrender to the current of God's love. In the flow of the current of God's love. Let your walk guide others on the path of ascension. Your walk will show others the way of ascension. Your path will act as a guide for others in the ways of ascension. I'm sustained by the light from God. I'm an instrument of God, and I'm an instrument of peace. So I thought those.
That's the whole thing I think I mentioned earlier. You lead by example. You know, once you connect with your source, connect with your higher energy and everything, and you let that love and light shine through you and you're radiating, then you enlighten others by them observing your enlightenment. You know, you're that lit match amongst, or you're that lit candle that can light all the other candles that are not yet lit.
You know, that's an awesome segue, because I was just getting ready. I was thinking like, wow, you know, I'm starting to wind down a little bit, and that it's a good segue to how I end. Well, another interesting thought, I want to just touch on this, and it happened to me again today. So when I meditate, I put on a few different types of sounds. I sent one to Shayla. Josh, I'm sure you would like it. It's a flute, Native American flute sound. I know you're into the Native American flute. I wasn't, but this one I really am. And I always thank in this the archangels, and in this particular case God or Archangel Uriel for showing me signs that I'm on the right path, right? And I'm fulfilling my divine purpose. And I would say that to God. Thank you, God, for gently guiding me and fulfilling my divine purpose. Thank you for showing me signs that I'm fulfilling my purpose, and then, you know, showing me signs that I'm in my ascension. And so one thing that happens to me more times than not is, this is not timed, but as my meditation was unwinding and ending, it would be simultaneous. The sound that I was playing, or the music I was playing, would simultaneously end at literally as I was ending the meditation, and I end the meditation the same way every time. And that's what I wanted to read you guys as the last thing for today in this part of our discussion. And as I would end this, literally, I mean, sometimes as soon as I would say the last word, the music would just cut off. And my eyes are closed. I'm not timing it. There's no timer on. But it would happen, like, I don't want to say 100%, because it's not. Because I noticed that sometimes at the end, if I forget something, I went in the meditation, I'm like, oh, I got to go back because I didn't do that. Whenever I did that, I noticed I was out of the flow. You know, because like that's me, my ego saying, no, I need to do this. Like, instead of just being in the flow and, yeah, I forgot it, so that, you know, it's okay, I'll get it next time. Or that's still me, still trying to hold on, trying to control something, I'm trying to control the meditation, right? So this is what came to me, and this is beautiful. And whenever I say this, it even now touches me. So it says, go forth, my son, and rejoice and bathe in the love and the light of the one true infinite creator. For there is only one, and he, she is everywhere and everything. For we are all ideas in the mind of God. It says, express gratitude by being grateful. Express love by being loving. Be what you seek. Be a light in the darkness. Be a candle in a dark room. It says, go in peace, my son, and see the creator in all. And that's what I said. I said that's how I end. I said, I see the creator and all. And as soon as I would be finished saying that, I mean, literally the music would just cut off. It was almost like it was playing. It was almost like I had a conductor, and they were, as soon as I said it, it was like conductor just shut the music off, you know. And I would always say thank you, thank you, thank you. You know what I mean? Like because I wanted, because one thing I've learned too is that for me, how do we explain being thankful or being grateful? It's like an easy way to say that, even to children, is saying like, I like this. I want more of this. So that's what for me being thankful is, right? Like it's telling God, like, I like this. I want more of this. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. You know, like give me more of it. Thank you. You know, and so that's how it ends. And that's how my meditation would end. And I'm getting a little, like I said, worn down a little bit. But
I
yeah.
wanted to say there is absolutely beautiful, and the whole thing about the synchronicity of when you're in the flow and you have this really good, powerful connection and meditation, how it ends on the dot with the music. I agree with you 100%. That's like a sign for you, a confirmation that like they heard you, they agree with you, keep
Yeah.
on trucking, yes,
Yeah.
sir. You know, that kind of thing. And like to reinforce you, to reinvigorate
Yeah.
you, to give you that confidence and that feeling of
Validation.
validation. And then the part you were talking about that forget exactly how you put it, but something like, we are all thoughts or something you had said, I think. And so that reminded me right away of what Ross says literally in the first session. Says in his monologue, the whole raw contact begins 1.0. He gives a short little monologue and he says, you are not part of a material universe. You are part of a thought. You are dancing in a ballroom in which there is no material. You are dancing thoughts.
Yeah.
So
It's also synchronistic, Josh. I'm going to cut you off because I was just going to, there's one thing that I read to myself here that I was waiting to say to you guys, which is, this is literally, I was waiting for you to finish speaking. I was going to say, physicality is thought crystallized. Literally, I have it written right here. It's right underneath what I was going to, right underneath what I was going to say, right after I read what I was said. And I didn't, it was a few lines down, so I didn't see it to read it. And then I saw it afterwards. And then you started speaking. I was like, when you're done, I'm going to read that. But more confirmation, right? And validation.
yeah, man. I mean, that's crazy. That's exactly the same concept right there.
Yeah. So, I mean, I
Yeah.
think we went over a lot of concepts today. There is at some point, I do want to go over some of, and I know I spoke to Suwin a little bit about this, some of the, and maybe Lauren, I think before I went on went to my school on my vacation, I had spoken to you about the quantum hypnosis stuff briefly, and we didn't really have a lot of time at that time because I know it was like a week or two away, and we're wrapping up everything. Uh, so I do want to just touch on that a little bit because I haven't really had a chance to really get into that because that was like, you know,
Yeah.
mind blowing in itself, right?
Yeah, I think I read the transcripts,
Yeah.
from it, and it was like, wow. And then I did end up doing one myself a couple of years ago, which was like, I mean, it
Yeah,
was,
right.
yeah, amazing experience. I still think about it. It's just so comforting, like just to have,
Yeah,
just like anything, like, and when you're super consciously meditating and you get into that zone and you feel the oneness, it's like,
I
all
know.
right, like it's, yeah. It's just
I
more
agree.
proof, more reassurance, that
Yeah.
we are one and we are more than this physical form. So
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
yeah, definitely would love to dive into that at some
Yeah,
point.
I don't know if right now is the time for that, but
Uh,
yeah, yeah, at some point, maybe in a week or so, we could do one. Because I'd like to hear about yours too, Lauren. If you're willing and if you're open to that. But yeah, we should do that. Maybe next week or something, Josh. Maybe we could do this like a week thing, our weekly thing or something where we could do open discuss a topic the previous week or introduce it the previous week and then do it, go over it the next week or something like that. At least go over some stuff.
Yeah,
But
I'm
yeah,
thinking that I mean, I agree. That's definitely would be a great topic for one of these meetings. Your pet, those hypnosis sessions, since you both
yeah,
had them and you got the transcript. For sure in the future. Uh, I'm gonna, since you've concluded your sharing of your enlightened thoughts for today. I'm gonna
yeah,
stop the recording and just share. I think we'll be continuing this format perhaps going forward, hopefully like weekly or whatever, as you go through your notebook, and
yeah.
just so we could share with the world, all your amazing insights.
Thank
So
you.
yeah.